Hey, I'm so glad you've clicked on this video. I want to give you something today that I've learned over the years, and it's something I've used in talking with people, helping people to grow, and helping them understand how God has uniquely created them. You know, it's a beautiful thing that each one of us have been created differently. We have different gifts, we have different motivations. But beyond and deeper than all of those differences, there's something very similar. There's a need for love in all of our lives. You know, as you talk to people and you get out in the world, you see that people are struggling with depression, marriages are struggling, relationships are oftentimes hurting. And I'm going to give you a principle today that will change everything. It'll change everything. I'm going to read a passage of scripture out of the book of Colossians. Paul's talking to the church at Colossians, and he says these words, "You are the people of God. He loved you and chose you for his own." And then he says, "So then, because of God's great love for us, you must clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Be tolerant with one another, forgive one another. If anybody has a complaint against someone else, you must forgive one another just as the Lord has forgiven you. And all of these qualities you need to add love, which binds all things together in perfect unity." You know, if you were to ask this question of someone, do you see these qualities of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience? If you do, I can promise you that there's a person who is walking closely with God. God has control of their heart. And because God has control of their heart, He has control of their actions. I'm going to teach you a principle, and it'll change your marriage, it'll change your business, and it'll change your relationships. And here it is. The principle is this: love is not something that has been made to take for ourselves. Love is to be given away. And God showed us that, and that God so loved His Son, He did what? He gave His only begotten Son. So I'm going to teach you a principle, and I want you to go live this out, and I want you to begin as soon as the video's over and see what happens. And let's hear about it. Talk to us on our Facebook group, because we want to hear what God's doing in your life. And so here's what I want you to do today. Based upon the principle of love being given away, I want you to look for opportunities the rest of this day to sacrificially love other people. Let's look at some examples. Ask this question: how could you in your office or business show the love of God to other people? Maybe it's in the way you talk. Maybe it's that you look for a way to serve someone else. Maybe take somebody a drink, a glass of water, or maybe say an encouraging word to someone. You know, it's amazing, so many times our words do not represent Jesus Christ. And it's amazing, in my own life, I find it all the time. I'll be reading, studying, God will be doing these things in my life, and then I'll talk to someone in a very harsh way, and not even thinking about it often. And what's happening in those moments is I'm not really living in the Spirit of God. So look for these opportunities, because to live this out is to be intentional. It's to seek to look to serve other people as God has loved and gave Himself for us. Think about what happens when you get home. What if you looked for an opportunity to serve your spouse? You look for an opportunity to sacrificially sit down and love that person, not in the way you like to be loved, but in the way they like to be loved. I wonder what would happen. How about with your children? Have you ever thought about this? Our children need to know that we care. And sometimes life gets so busy. What if you stopped and looked into the eyes of your child and did something for that child? And I'm not talking about give them another gift or give them some money, but listen to them. Talk to them. You say, "Chad, I don't have a really good relationship with my kids." Hey, right now's the time to start. To look at them and tell them you love them. Here's something an older gentleman taught me one time when I was a young father. He said, "Have you ever thought about getting on your knees and looking into the eyes of your child and having a conversation? When you do that, it changes everything. That child's face will light up. They'll begin talking, and you'll feel the bond and the connection just growing. It's a beautiful thing." How's it going in your life? I mean, do you sense the joy and the peace of God in your life, or are you struggling? If you are, just admit it. We all struggle. Sometimes I get turned in on myself, but here's one thing that I found. If I'll stop and I'll intentionally go love someone, which is counterintuitive to what I want to do in my heart. I really want to just turn in and be a little selfish, right? But I find that if I stop and I turn outward and I begin to live sacrificially, all of a sudden the things that I was looking for, I find in giving, not taking. I'm telling you, this principle will change your life. I've seen this principle change marriages, relationships. I've seen it change businesses. Because what happens when we say yes to what God's calling us to do? And we talk about this in our book, 40 Days of Surrender, often. When we get into that place and we say yes to the Lord, all of a sudden now the opportunity is open for the Spirit to work in us and through us in the lives of other people. So 1, look for ways to intentionally serve and love other people. 2, do it again tomorrow. See what happens. See if there's a sense of joy and peace when you go out and you begin to serve other people. May the Lord bless you. Can't wait to talk to you again. Have a great day.